The few directors here and then the whole board of directors, thank you so much for coming out and help out and attending. My speech will be short. First of all, it's on behalf of the MCB board. Welcome everybody, and we're so glad that we have the second year. Mayor is coming out to share the information about the city with us. And there are so many items that we want to hear from Mayor, how you're going to build a beautiful city that we live and work and stay here. And our speech will be really short because we're running quite tight schedule. And so may I speak one or two sentences in Chinese, because this is a Chinese association. And also I want to tell you that this year we have involved quite a few Chinese community organizations that we partner with. And first of all is the M&A Mandarin Association, welcome, and also the NCAO, the Arts Association, the Chinese Association, CMA, and yeah, so we have 4 organizations joining us this year. And thank you so much. 非常欢迎大家，因为呢，今年呢是我们第二年呢，我们也非常，尤其是我们这一边的Mississauga的那个支持者来支持我们，因为这个会很重要，让市长知道，让整个市政府知道，我们中华人也是非常欢迎他，也是非常让他多多的支持我们以后在社区的发展，以后在社区的服务。谢谢大家 ，Thank you so much.
Mississauga Chinese Center, Mississauga Mandarin Association, Gary Gu, Nations Fresh Foods, Lillian Kwok, RBC Royal Family City in Canada, Lord Bonnie Crombie.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Kuan Yin, welcome. Thank you for joining us again. And let me wish you again a very happy and celebrated Mid-Autumn Festival. I think that was yesterday, yes? Good. My sincere thanks to Winnie Fung and the Mississauga Chinese Business Association for the opportunity to address you once again and all of your members. In July, my office partnered with MCBA to host an official visit of China's new Consul General to Toronto, Mr. Hu Wei. And I want to thank Commercial Council Yi and Commercial Council Fung for being with us today. We thank you very much for joining us, and this is your second time, of course. So I stand before you today to say that the state of the city of Mississauga is strong, very strong, and we are achieving real results for the entrepreneurs, the businesses, and the people of Canada's 6th largest city. We are also the 3rd largest in Ontario, Toronto, Ottawa, Mississauga. I don't know if you realize that. I'm very proud to work with a group of committed councillors who have the best interests of the city at heart. And I want to recognize my whole team, but when I get to those that are here, I want them to stand up so you can appreciate their hard work too. Councillor Jim Toby of Ward 1, Councillor Karen Rass of Ward 2, Councillor Chris Fonseca of Ward 3, Councillor John Kovac of Ward 4, Councillor Carolyn Parrish of Ward 5, Councillor Ron Starr, Ward 6, right here, stand up. There we go. I know Ron is very committed, very dedicated to the Chinese community. I think you probably have the ward with the largest group of Chinese-speaking individuals. So he loves Chinese food too. So he's going to come out and get free lunch. He says. Also, we have Councillor for Ward 8 right here, Matt Mahoney. Say hello. Councillor Nando Unica, Ward 7, couldn't be with us, or could Pat Sato from Ward 9, but Sue McFadden from Ward 10 is with us. Thank you, Sue. And also George Carlson of Ward 11, they couldn't be with us. But we also have a team of dedicated professional staff. We often take their advice because they understand how things work. They make us look good every day. And let me single out the leadership team. Gary Kent, our Commissioner for Corporate Services, our Chief Financial Officer, he's the money guy. Paul Mitchell is our Commissioner for Community Services. He's all the community centers, the libraries, the pools, he's the man, and all the parks. Ed Sajecki, Commissioner of Building and Planning. So he plans our city and our growth. We do have any permits outstanding that you need, he's the man you want to talk to before you leave. Commissioner Jeff Wright couldn't be with us. He's our commissioner responsible for transportation and works. And of course our city manager, Janice Baker, who is our chief administrative officer. I also want to acknowledge the wonderful staff and the ownership group here at Blue Lagoon. We always have the best meals here, don't we, at Blue Lagoon? Thank you so very much to Blue Lagoon Seafood Master, the best Chinese seafood restaurants in town. And of course I want to thank my mother, Veronica Sawarna. You've already met her, for coming out and supporting me today. She's been a big influence in my life, and I love her, and I thank her, and thank you for being here with me today, Mom. Really appreciate it. So let's talk about the city, if we can, for a little bit. 2017 will be a cherished year. So many historic milestones in our city. We joined communities from right across Canada to mark the 150th anniversary of the founding of our respected and peaceful democracy, the founding of our country, Canada, and we hosted many, many events, but in particular, I hope that some of you joined us, we had the Hazel McCallion Do Your Homework exhibit, and I presented Hazel with the keys to the city. So wasn't it a great event? I hope some of you were able to come out. And as we reflect on our past, we must always remember on the lasting and city-building contributions the new Canadians have made, but especially the Chinese Canadians. And today, Mississauga is home to over 21,000 Chinese new Canadians and over 50,000 residents of Chinese descent. That's over 70,000 people of Chinese origin in our city. Chinese languages, including Mandarin and Cantonese, are among the top 10 languages spoken in our city. And you know how diverse we are and what the demographics look like. But Mississauga and China have a strong and proud and enduring relationship. Our Chinese Canadian community is made up of risk takers, business people, entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, and small business owners, but also accomplished researchers and academics, and compassionate and committed volunteers, and highly acclaimed performing artists as well. Mississauga and all of Canada is better, we're stronger, and more prosperous place to call home because of the lasting difference that the Chinese Canadian community has made to our city, to our province, and to our country, Canada. And on behalf of all of us, we say thank you for the contributions the Chinese community has made. Thank you. You know, in a few short years, we're going to mark another important milestone because in 2024, Mississauga turns 50. Can you believe that? We're one of the youngest cities. There's such a buzz about our city, and it's being felt right around the country. The headlines that you read about in the newspapers, they speak for themselves. All eyes are on Mississauga. So make no mistake, in Mississauga, we do not leave success to chance. We do not. We plan for it, and we see it through. And we welcome international delegations to our City Hall. Delegations often from major Chinese cities, and we speak about Mississauga's value proposition. That means why should they invest in Mississauga? That's what our value proposition is. And we highlight why they should join more than 1,400 multinational firms that we have here, and the 71 Fortune 500 companies that have all chosen Mississauga in which to invest, to land, to settle their business. We mean business. When it comes to helping businesses succeed, we mean business. We have one of the lowest corporate tax rates in all of North America, and we hold the line on property taxes. We always try to deliver at the rate of inflation. It's a commitment we've made as a council, and you know what? We're taxpayers too, so we don't like to see our taxes, and we're a little bit thrifty, right, Ron? Ron's cheap, so he says, no more tax increases, right? So we try to hold the line on our tax increases. In Mississauga, we're strategically located. It's one of our key advantages. We're located close to Toronto and the entire region. You know, there's 6 million people living in the Greater Toronto area, so it's a big and vast market. We're linked by 6 400 series highways, continental railways, and we're home to Canada's largest airport, Toronto Pearson. And we're working with a group called Toronto Global, It's a new foreign direct investment agency, and we use them to close transformational deals. Like in the private sector, we built cost savings into our corporate DNA, and that's because of this guy right here, who's our CFO. We continue to employ lean professionals. We have what's called lean in our DNA, and we train white, yellow, green, and black belts on how to do lean, how to be more efficient, how to deliver programs and services that are more cost effective. That's what lean does. And our city manager also challenges different departments to come in 1% lower this year. 1%, right, Gary? 1%. And we've done so. And as we plan for the 2018 budget, our staff are projecting nearly $3 million in savings of taxpayers' hard-earned money. Last year was $4 million, Gary. This year is only $3 million. Uh-oh, we got to get back there and sharpen your pencils. But you know what that means? If we deliver the savings of $3 million this year, which we will, $52 million in savings to taxpayers in over 1 decade. Is that not great? We find savings every year so that we don't increase taxes. We find savings. And that's why 60% of our residents believe that they get good value for taxpayers' dollars. So there's a reason why staff are continuously winning awards for their excellence. And it's because Mississauga is working. Mississauga has a strong and stable government. Our council, we want businesses to succeed. And in Mississauga, we think about the long term. We want public infrastructure to work for the private sector. We want to have great roads and bridges and transit. And for the 14th straight year in a row, we have had a AAA credit rating. Think about that. For 14 straight years, it's good to do business. We can borrow more efficiently. It's a badge of honor, and it means that you can have confidence doing business with Mississauga in Mississauga. And it also means that we can borrow to build our infrastructure at some of the lowest interest rates possible. And we make the right decisions. So we can invest today and build the necessary infrastructure of tomorrow. Job creators need roads, bridges, transit, so they can open and expand, so they can invent, so they can market, recruit, hire, and reach customers, and so that they can lead the competition. You need modern and strong and reliable stormwater infrastructure too, to keep your businesses safe from the real threat of climate change. We've seen what happened in the United States. We saw the effects of Irma and Harvey, and so you should be confident that we are preparing for the eventuality of those 100-year storms that are happening with much more velocity, ferocity, and frequency. So we are prepared in Mississauga. But Mississauga also cares about your employees, your families and their quality of life. And we want a seamless transition for anyone who relocates here. We build parks and trails, libraries, and offer extensive recreational programs at many of our community centres. And we're also one of Canada's safest cities, and you know that. We just had the Crime Awareness Day a couple weeks ago. So needless to say, when we talk about all that Mississauga has to offer to companies to attract their investments, it's not a tough sell. We have a very easy time of it because of our value proposition. In 2015, we undertook an investment mission to South America, and I was joined by our Director of Economic Development, Susan Amry. She was introduced earlier. Susan is retiring after, this woman doesn't even look this old. She's been working for the City of Mississauga for 36 years. Is that right? And we wish Susan all the best as she writes the next chapter in her life. Now in South America, we chose Brazil, Colombia, and Chile because of its large and internationally recognized life sciences sector. We have a very large life sciences, biotech, biopharma industry. And I undertook I look forward to this as the first economic development mission that I took as mayor, and I still am looking forward to my very first trade mission to China. And Winnie, I'm looking at you. We've got to get that organized. It's critical that we position ourselves to compete effectively in the global marketplace. You know, Canadian exports to China represent over $20 billion, whereas the imports from China here in Canada represent over 65 billion. So you see there's a little bit of imbalance there. And it's no surprise that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's very first state visit was to China. A lot of very thorough and comprehensive planning is undertaken before we depart on any of our international economic development missions. And much of that planning continues to take place. So when we do head to China, we will maximize our time, our energy, and our results when we work over there. Mississauga is Canada's second largest life sciences sector by employment, enhanced by the ongoing and innovative work done by Trillium Health Partners, you know, our hospitals, Credit Valley Hospital, the Mississauga Hospital, and the Queensway Hospital. And our Economic Development Office, they have a new life sciences cluster strategy. It's the very first one. It's a plan of action to have government, industry, academia, and concerned citizens work closely together. It's a strategy that's the first of its kind for any level of government, whether federal, provincial, or municipal. It's the only one that exists. And that hard work, I think Susan and her team, is paying off and generating results. And Brazilian-based pharmaceutical giant called BioLab chose Mississauga over other competitive cities, and I will tell you that if they were in the United States, okay, for their research and development center. And in a very few short weeks, BioLab will open their new state-of-the-art facility. It's a $56 million investment and will create 40 new high-value-added and highly skilled jobs. And we're very, very blessed. This is the company that we recruited when we went to Brazil for the very first time. So that hard work, being on site, on the ground, networking, it pays off. It works. If you've done your homework and you know and you understand which companies are ready to invest abroad and expand, and if we speak to them, we can sell them on the value proposition that is Mississauga. They will add BioLab significant revenue to our tax base, revenue that will be used to keep your property taxes low and to build that job-creating infrastructure that we talk about that our city has. We secured this new investment because we were there. We were on the ground, we were highlighting our value proposition, and we were strengthening the important and lasting networks and working with all levels of government. I was always flanked with a federal and a provincial trade commissioner, and they gave us a lot of assistance. And we can't stop now. Mississauga's reach into international markets knows no boundaries. I've hosted council generals from China and from countless other countries from around the world. In one day, I can find myself bringing greetings in 5 different languages. But the message is always the same. Mississauga is open for business. I've just returned from an investment mission to Japan. You heard me say I'm still a little bit jet-lagged. I can't quite convert to the time. It takes a few days. And I delivered a keynote address at the Aeromart Conference, a global gathering of aerospace industry giants. In attendance were representatives from 20 different countries and over 250 different companies. And Mississauga is Canada's largest aerospace cluster by employment. The aerospace industry employs in Mississauga over 27,000 people in over 330 aerospace companies. So it's quite significant. And yesterday, I'm very pleased, very honored to announce that Tome Industries, a renowned aerospace company, will open in Mississauga. And this is as a result of our mission last year and our mission this year. So we all want to welcome Tome Industries to Mississauga. Tome will join the league of other globally competitive aerospace companies that work in Mississauga, including Chinese companies. Companies that you know, Henan Airline Company, Air China, Cathay Pacific Airways. More and more businesses choose Mississauga because of our highly trained and highly skilled workforce. It is our competitive advantage. Did you know that over 65% of our residents have a post-secondary degree, a post-secondary education? It is what makes Mississauga so special, and it helps us attract business. That our people are so highly skilled, highly educated, and speak many, many languages as well. This is a big benefit for us. Now, 2017 has also been the year of employment opportunities. The Economic Development Office's Building Skilled Talent Together Forum brought together engaged professionals committed to addressing the needs of the advanced manufacturing businesses. From this one forum, countless opportunities have emerged. In attendance was Mitsubishi Heavy Industries Aerospace, MHICA, Canadian Aerospace. A month later, I was on their assembly floor at their Malton plant promoting the company's structural airplane apprentice program, a life-changing opportunity for people to gain in-demand skills and real-world training and a full-time job. Also in attendance was Empower Canada, which helps train and prepare young professionals to find rewarding careers in the IT sector. And we partnered with Empower to launch the Service Analyst Program at their new Mississauga Training Centre. Alumni have gone to work for leading businesses, including Accenture, Deloitte, and IBM. Both MHICA, Mitsubishi, and Empower will be on hand for our second annual Mayor's Youth Employment Expo. I want you to mark your calendars for November 19th at City Hall. It will be an opportunity for all businesses and organizations to find some of Mississauga's brightest youth and for those who want to make a difference in the workplace. So I want all of you to be involved. If you're recruiting, you need to be there. You need to attend, you want to recruit, and you want to find the talent that you need in your businesses to succeed. Now, investing in human capital and building a knowledge infrastructure is good for business. Mississauga's Innovation Eco-Centre is healthy. We are on that innovation corridor that you hear so much about. Councillor Karen Rass is responsible for the Sheridan Research Park. She has been their champion, and it's home to Xerox Canada, the RIC Centre, and the Green Centre Canada. This research hub will be the future home of the National Research Council of Canada's Advanced Manufacturing Laboratory and the Canadian Campus for Advanced Materials Manufacturing. They're calling it CCAMM. So it will be a huge addition to our research park. Mississauga has become that go-to destination on the innovation corridor. We're also proudly home to University of Toronto Mississauga, UTM's Institute for Management and Innovation. We call it the IMI, Institute for Management and Innovation, and the IQ, which is the Innovation Cube, which is a business accelerator. UTM injects over $1.3 billion annually into the region of Peel, and you know that the bulk of that comes to Mississauga, the lion's share of it. Mississauga and UTM launched Edu Roam. It's a service that has transformed our city into a virtual campus where students and researchers can study, they can learn, and they can access extensive research resources online. They also have Dr. Patrick Gunning. And they attracted him to Mississauga. And he has set up the Centre for Medicinal Chemistry, and coupled with UTM's rapid growth, it is proof that our council's unprecedented 10-year, $10 million grant, it's $1 million a year for 10 years, to support UTM to help their faculty reach higher is working. They were able to build the IMI, they were able to attract Patrick Gunning, and they were able to open the Centre for Medicinal Chemistry, all as a result of council voting to extend this 10-year grant to them. And I'm very proud to announce as well that Dr. Patrick Gunning will deliver the keynote address to our next Mayor's Youth Speaker Series on November 22nd. So if you have any youth that could be inspired by the work of Patrick Gunning, I invite you to bring them along and to attend. Mississauga has also once again partnered with UTM, Sheridan College SOTI, and the RIC Centre for our next Tech and the City Hackathon on October 21st at UTM's Innovation Complex. I'm smiling because the man who's responsible for creating it is right here, Mr. Sean Slack. We want to thank Sean. They're going to create apps. They will open up all these new data sets to these coders, and they're going to do a lot of research into our data and create new apps for us. It's going to happen at UTM's Innovation Complex. The hackathon empowers students and innovators and coders to mine through mountains of open data with the goal of improving services for our businesses and for our residents. In March, we opened Sheridan College expansion of the Hazel McCallion campus right downtown. The campus is situated on nearly 9 acres of prime land made possible through a partnership between the City of Mississauga and Sheridan. Sheridan's partnership with Ryerson University to create an innovation center at the McCallion campus, downtown Mississauga, will lead to an environment where like-minded and innovative thinkers can come together. They're going to collaborate on business ventures and launch their cutting-edge ideas directly into the marketplace. So this new innovation center will be similar to, some of you will be familiar with the DMZ, the Digital Media Zone at Ryerson, and this will be very similar. That will be a collaboration between Ryerson and Sheridan College. So this is very exciting for us. Mississauga has worked since 2016, so since last year, to bring these two institutions together to help develop an incubator, a business incubator right in our downtown core. Now, this is also the mandate of our first look Angel Investor Networking event. I wonder if some of you have heard about this. My office launched a collaboration with the Rick Center and Angel One, that's an investor networking group and organization, back in 2015. And it was at First Look, at this investor networking night, where experts from Green Sky Capital had their first look at a startup company called AOMS Technologies. Now AOMS, First Look put AOMS on course to secure an investment that night at the networking night. Are you ready? $925,000 financing from Green Sky Capital. So it works. We matched together a startup with a group of investors. And so it was highly, highly successful. The funding is enabling AOMS, the company, to expand its sales and marketing efforts and to improve their product development. And we'll be back at it again next year with another Angel Investor Networking Night in spring of 2018. Now, you all know this, but 97% of Mississauga businesses are small businesses, right? Of course, it makes sense. And many of these businesses are run by hardworking, risk-taking, and successful Chinese-Canadian entrepreneurs, people like all of you. The very members who make up the Mississauga Chinese Business Association. Put simply, when small business succeeds, Mississauga succeeds, because small business is the backbone of the economy. October 25th, that's coming up soon. I want you to mark that date. We will be hosting citywide Mayor's Small Business Forum in participation with the Mississauga Business Enterprise Center. Small Business Forum, October 25th. All small business owners are invited and encouraged to participate, to share your ideas and your solutions to help make local government work better for you. So I hope that some of you will consider to attend. So whether it's a small business or a Fortune 500 company, I repeatedly hear that the private sector wants public transit built. And we invest in transit. And when we do invest in transit, we're investing in our economy. China knows this. The great cities of China are home to extensive and impressive and interconnected transit networks. Our future transit planning efforts continue to be shaped by the progress made at the Mississauga Moves Transportation Summit, which was held in November 2015, almost 2 years ago. We heard a wealth of solutions to move people and our economy forward. These ideas were your ideas, and they were shaping Mississauga's first ever 25-year transportation master plan. As ensuring current transit initiatives are integrated into future ones is a top priority. So we continue to work with businesses like at the Aero Center, and they are at the Airport Corporate Center and across the city to find ways to address the first and the last kilometer problem. You may be aware of that. It's great that we have public transit available, but sometimes it's hard to get to. It's that first kilometer getting there and then getting home that last kilometer back. That's what they call the first and the last kilometer problem. And we're working closely as well with the Greater Toronto Airport Authority to help advance plans to transform Pearson International Airport into a mega transit hub. It's the Union Station of the Western GTA. If we're going to convince people to get out of their cars, we have to make public transit seamless, affordable, and efficient. And we're achieving this goal as we press ahead with our plans, along with Metrolinx, to build the Hurontario light rail train next year. We're on track to get shovels in the ground and construction underway next year. It's a 20-kilometer, 22-stop LRT, and it will connect the GO train stations at Port Credit and Cooksville. It will loop around the downtown and be plugged into My Way. And the BR, and it will be looped into downtown and be connected at the transit terminal, and then it will continue north all the way to the Brampton border at Steeles. And while the bus rapid transitway has become an essential east-west service, the LRT will become that north-south spine of a regionally integrated transit network. Renforth Gateway, which is part of our bus rapid transitway, is well under construction, and the final station, the most easterly bus station, will be open along the transitway. It will be opening very soon this fall, and that will be the final station. It will make that 18-kilometer dedicated transitway completely open and operative. Commuters and companies are depending on the LRT, the light rail train. The Matheson LRT stop, by example, will be walking distance from the new Matheson West Corporate Center, which will soon be home to SOTI's new headquarters. If you haven't heard of SOTI, please put them on your radar. They could grow up to become the next BlackBerry. SOTI is a Mississauga success story. It was started by a gentleman named Carl Rodriguez out of his basement, right here in Mississauga 2 decades ago, and they're rapidly growing into a world leader in enterprise support. This year, the Lisgar GO train station turns 10, and we're successful. We have that GO train station largely because of the work that people like, was particularly Councillor Sue McFadden and her colleague Pat Sato have done over the years. And it's 10 years old this year. And 10 years might not seem like a milestone, but in a short time, this station has seen no shortage of demand. Residents from Lisgar, Meadowvale, Churchill Meadows, and across the Western GTA rely on it each and every day to get to work. We have become a net importer of jobs. Yes, more people start and end their day or drive into Mississauga to work than leave Mississauga each day. And we need to move people from Toronto into Mississauga for work. And this demand reinforces our bigger efforts to boldly transform the GTA and Central Ontario with the missing link. Our plans for all-day two-way GO train service on the Milton and the Kitchener lines. It's all-day two-way GO service on the Milton line. It remains our leading transit priority that we continue to advocate to other levels of government. It's critical to our growth, the growth of our city, and the growth of our businesses. And it's at the heart of our government relation efforts. More and more government leaders agree that city building is nation building. So as we prepare for the provincial election that's coming up next year, next spring in fact, the ballot question must be, well it will be for me, which party will stand up for the best interests of cities? I've always maintained when all three levels of government work well together to achieve our goals, and the goals of Canada's 6th largest city, that's us of course, Ontario and Canada are better positioned to grow, to prosper, and to succeed. In February of this year, we welcomed Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to City Hall for an unprecedented meeting about Mississauga's future. And in June, I sat down with our Premier, one-on-one with Premier Kathleen Wynne, to discuss our priorities. And I recently participated in the federal, provincial, territorial meeting of infrastructure ministers. Historically, these meetings have never included municipalities. They never invited cities. But cities are now being asked to take part. And last year, I was invited to be the mayor that represented Ontario. It was quite an honor, and I did so again this year, just a few weeks ago. Our discussions focused on Phase 2 of the Federal Infrastructure Fund. Mississauga stands to receive $370 million over 10 years, depending on how the funding program will be rolled out. This is an unprecedented investment, and it will help us lay the foundation to build up our next 50 years. But we need to get the funding program right. And Mississauga is at the table. And when we take our seat, we come prepared. Whether it's transit or infrastructure or empowering cities with new investment tools, we set the agenda, we bring the solutions, and we do our part. Mississauga has a very strong working relationship with the provincial and the federal governments, and we are thankful that the investments that they're making, the $190 billion provincially and the $186 billion federally, towards city building initiatives. It's a lot of money. But we maintain that we can't build 21st century cities with 19th century tools, because Mississauga is a mature city. Mature cities like ours need to be empowered to fully deal with the challenges that we face. And one of these priorities is housing. Making room for the middle is our bold new housing strategy. We've put forward 40 action items that call on all levels of governments, our partners in the private sector, the nonprofits, the cooperatives, and individuals, and the big developers, to be part of the solution. I want to thank our planners for their exceptional work, and especially Ed Sajecki, who is here with us today, who is retiring at the end of this year. So Ed's legacy, his professionalism, your commitment to Mississauga, Ed, can be found in every neighborhood across the city, and we thank you. We wish you weren't leaving, but we wish you well on your next chapter as well. Industrial lands into a thriving new neighborhood that will include both commercial and residential developments. Head east to Lakeview, and the planned views of Lake Ontario get even better. Long before anyone else, and long before he was a councillor, Jim Tovey, our councillor for Ward 1, he knew of the untapped potential of the community that's called Lakeview. It's truly remarkable how far Inspiration Lakeview plan has traveled in such a short period of time, especially when you have a champion like the councillor and my council standing behind him. We have truly, in June, Ontario Power Generation took the historic first step forward with their plans to unlock the Lakeview lands with 67 acres dedicated to the city of Mississauga. They're selling it with about 250 acres, 267 will be sold, but they gave us 67 acres so that we can get on top of building a brand new mixed-use community that will be the envy of the world. So from Vision Cooksville to Inspiration Port Credit, My Malton to the Ninth Line Lands, Dundas Connects to the Britannia Farm, Mississauga is growing. We're building new communities. We're connected by transit and by trails. We're home to parks and community centers, public spaces, and we enjoy an unrivaled quality of life. Yes, we are building a complete city. And as we look toward building Mississauga's future, we need to think seriously about the environment. Cities account for approximately 70% of all greenhouse gas emissions. So let me say two things about that. First of all, I've been hearing that our post-secondary schools and all our grad programs are oversubscribed, and that is an unintended consequence of the policies of the country to the south of us. So there are grad students that are a little bit fearful of going to the United States, that they are coming to Canada to complete their education. Now, I will suggest to you that the city isn't in the building business, so we can make those incentives. We're working with the development community, the provincial and the federal governments to ensure that we have inclusionary zoning, which means that there are percentages of rental units that are rent geared to income rather than to market. And you should actually send me an email about your forecast of what you think is needed, so we can consider those parameters when we're setting up our policies. We're still just underway. We haven't passed the report yet. There are 40 different recommendations on all kinds of novel approaches on how to incentivize the building of rental and housing to purchase that is affordable. And by affordable, we're talking about people who are in the $80,000 to $100,000 and can afford a mortgage of about $400,000, or a unit about $400,000 range. So mid-income housing, and we're looking for all those measures to incentivize, whether it's for purchase or for rental housing. Thank you. Second year in a row. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to my incredible team, the counselors, and the staff that support us. It has been a wonderful afternoon. Thank you for having me.